He is considered by many the greatest film director the medium has ever known.
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
Okay, I hate to interrupt and break the fourth wall, but I thought I had the right address. I mean, there wasn't exactly a mailbox that said Kubrick. But then I was like, sweet, they're sitting in a car. It was like a Rolls Royce. It was sweet. And I thought Stanley was going to pop out, but
We got to get him out of here.
unless he had a makeover, that wasn't Stanley. Just for the record, I have to tell you that I almost shit my pants when I saw this guy. He pretty much was the scariest guy I've seen in my life. Having absolutely no idea what's going on, I took the envelope hoping that would make the guy go away, and fortunately, that actually worked. But I had no idea what was going on. I mean, if it wasn't already weird enough, the damn piano came out of nowhere. I don't know where the hell that was, in the woods somewhere. And I read the letter. So apparently I had flown across the Atlantic for no reason, and Trump was a big liar. I'm just kidding. This is a cinematic joke. Seen from Eyes Wide Shut if you haven't seen it. The point is, Stanley is still willing to meet with me, but he just wanted me to sign an 80-page non-disclosure agreement and this a gag order. Everything was cool. It would just be a couple days. He was editing Eyes Wide Shut. So, I said, hey, no big deal. I'll just chill in London, take in the sights, maybe meet a few people, make some friends. It'll only just be a few days. Well, a few days turned into a few weeks. Well, a few weeks turned into actually a few months. And basically, after waiting by the phone for approximately 6 months, I finally got a call on March the 3rd, 1999.
Is there something bad here?
I was told that he was profusely apologetic, so sorry, so busy editing Eyes Wide Shut. They gave me precise directions to his massive estate. Stanley himself opened the front door, and the day had come to finally shoot Stanley Kubrick.
Good evening. I'm sorry not to be able to be with you tonight to receive this great honor of the D.W. Griffith Award. But I'm in London shooting with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. And just about this time, I'm probably in the car on the way to the studio. Which, as it happens, reminds me of a conversation I had with Steven Spielberg about what was the most difficult and challenging thing about directing a film. And I believe Steven summed it up about as profoundly as you can. He thought the most challenging and difficult thing about directing a film was getting out of the car. I'm sure you all know the feeling. But at the same time, anyone who has been privileged enough to direct a film also knows that although it can be like trying to write War and Peace in a bumper car at an amusement park, when you finally get it right, there are not many joys in life that can equal the feeling. Robert, now let's see your position.
What are you drinking?
As you got strong at the end.
I can't remember.
I think it's got to be a last
Okay.
desperate begging.
Yeah, we'll make you another one. We'll freshen that up. We'll get a PA.
Fucked around for an hour. No. If you had a tea break at 4, you don't need to break for this tea break.
Is everything looking in order?
This must be just, a complimentary tea break.
If there's anything else, just they notify my lawyers. I'll take care of it.
If you book for tea at 4,
Sign the release, correct?
Check my levels.
and you have a tea break at 6 o'clock,
Could you just say?
it's a quarter to 7, and then you break for a meal at 7:30.
Could you say the title of your new film?
You don't have to break for tea at 6.
Levels?
Wide shut.
So figure it out. My upcoming film,
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut,
Eyes wide shut.
is all about secrecy. All right, Terry.
It's an honor to be doing this.
These two men are a little far apart.
I am just sincerely thankful and grateful for this opportunity. I want to thank you for doing this interview. I know you rarely give interviews.
That's right.
Despite the fact that he never gave interviews.
That's
true.
Do you need water? Are you okay?
Let's stay there now. We're really getting ready.
No, would you like something?
One other thing. 3 shakes. There's 3 beats when you do it. When they say, "Take my rifle. This is my gun. This is my gun. This is for fighting. This is for fighting. This is for fun. This is for fun." 3 shakes. This is my gun. No, you're timed to the thing. Take my rifle. This is my gun. This is for fighting. This is for fun. This is for fun. So give it 3 because a lot of people are still touch and go.
You look at your incredible body of work. People think your films are the best films ever made.
Considered by many
People think you're
the greatest film director.
You must be very proud.
Yes.
You know how we've always talked about the possibility of something going wrong with the bomb.
But of course, like most perfectionists,
What exactly is the treatment going to be then?
I often wish I
Just going to show you some films.
could have done things differently.
You little scumbag! I got your name! I got your ass! You will not laugh! You will not cry!
Stop it! Stop it, please! I beg you!
Well, what made you call?
The whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost. If you keep it a secret, why didn't you tell the world, eh?
I know you have some ground rules. You want me to hold this footage for 15 years? 15 years after your death? Before I can show it. I know my attorney and your attorney have gone back and forth. Am I clear on that condition?
That sounds about right.
15 years from the day of your death.
I love working for Uncle Sam!
Which, God forbid, I mean, I hope you make 80 more films or...
I love working for Uncle Sam!
Well, at your rate, 3 more films or whatever.
Right.
Let me know
Then may I ask,
just who I am!
why the delay?
Let me know just who I am!
We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
Well,
No 9,000 computer
this is difficult
has ever made a mistake
because it's the first time I've talked about it.
or distorted information.
Sir, I
Just a moment.
that's fine.
Just a moment.
Take your time all the time you need.
I'm so preoccupied with my work.
Well, he acts like he has genuine emotions.
Innovation,
Of course, he's programmed that way to make it easier for us to talk to him.
risk-taking,
But as to whether or not he has real feelings
regrets.
is something I don't think anyone can truthfully answer.
Why are you giving this interview?
Because it started to get to me after a while. I've always been conflicted about it, I guess, but I wasn't conscious of it until years later. At first, I was just blown away by
by these wonderful circumstances,
chance,
and began his professional work.
the opportunity, the challenge.
Rien ne va plus
said. Of making this production, and I went into it like it was a regular film, like another.
Sorry about this.
Regular film of mine.
I know it's a bit silly.
Not thinking too much about the long-term effects, the what it would mean to society if it was ever discovered.
What are you talking about?
It's puzzling.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well,
Let me put it this way.
a confession of sorts. A movie I made that nobody is aware of, even though they've seen it.
A movie you made, no one knows you made. Is that what you said?
That's right. Intriguing? Do I have you intrigued? I perpetrated a huge fraud on the American public, which I am now about to detail, involving the United States government and NASA, that the moon landing was fake. The moon landings all were fake. And I was the person.
Here's Johnny.
Who filmed it.
Okay. You're serious?
It blew my mind.
I'm serious.
I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before.
Dead serious.
Why didn't you tell the world, eh?
Okay.
The fake moon landing.
It's all based on
It was fake.
a kind of mind-blowing situation. And
Wait.
the idea was to make you believe
It was not real.
it all the way.
T-minus 60 seconds.
That you really were watching that.
Well, let's get on with it.
The moon landings were fake.
Sorry about this.
Okay.
Rumors about
A fictional moon landing.
no one could have been unaware of the very strange stories
It was not real.
floating around before we left
A fantasy.
on the moon. I never gave these stories much credence,
The moon landings were fake.
but particularly in view of some of the other things that have happened,
It was fake.
I find them difficult to put out of my
I don't want
mind.
this to be an R-rated film, so I don't want to say what the blank, but seriously,
I know it's a bit silly.
I worked almost 8 months to secure this once-in-a-lifetime interview that almost no one else could ever get. And instead of talking about his 16 films that I've adored since I was being a child, I'm told that this guy faked the moon landings. I mean, what the... I mean, seriously.
I'm not that I don't believe you.
Why did they have to fake it?
I'm just saying,
Why?
why would the government need to do something like that?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Frank Reynolds at ABC Space Headquarters in New York.
2 plane loads of dignitaries from Europe, movie celebrities and television personalities.
2 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting. And we are all about to witness the fulfillment of that promise that President Kennedy made.
It's no secret that NASA always wanted to fulfill this Kennedy prophecy.
We choose to go to the moon.
Landing a man on the moon
In this decade.
This decade is out.
And do the other things.
And returning him safely to the earth.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Take us back to the beginning.
The way all our preparations were kept under such tight security.
The geopolitical chess match between Russia that was going on,
I can no longer sit back and allow
it would have weakened their position, so to speak.
communist infiltration,
Yes.
communist indoctrination,
I mean,
Background. That was great background for the story. Yeah.
communist subversion,
Still a red fear,
and the international communist conspiracy
a communist fear
to sap and impurify
among the people.
all of our precious bodily fluids.
I mean, missile crisis and all that. And the political, I mean, they'd spent all that money, I guess. And
Yes.
There was a political brinksmanship going on.
Of course, Nixon wanted to make a big splash. It was early in his presidency.
That we didn't land on the moon, you're saying?
No, we didn't. Because it is impossible to get
to the moon. I'm sorry.
In this decade.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Because they are hard.
20 seconds away.
This is not
from the Apollo 11 liftoff.
Where I thought the interview was going.
35 seconds.
What do you think this mission will tell us about man?
Why are you telling me?
A massive fraud.
We are still
An unparalleled fraud
with Apollo 11.
Perpetrated against them.
Unit going to internal power.
They should know.
I understand.
Why in God's name?
Thank you for telling me the truth.
Don't you think it's important for people to know the truth?
You deserve it.
I mean, they're already suspicious of the government.
At the T-minus 8.9 second mark.
They may as well have their suspicions confirmed.
If we are successfully able to execute a touchdown and return.
11.
The moon landing in 69.
12.
Which was 2 years before my birth.
10.
Total fiction.
9.
Total fiction. Why would the government ever want or need to do? Why would the government need to do something like that?
9. We have ignition.
Because it is impossible
6.
to get to the moon.
5.
It's impossible to go.
Chaos flight controllers going around the hole.
Okay, retro, go. Fido, go. Guide, go. Control, go. Com, go. GNC, go. Ecom, go. Surgeon, go.
Capcom, we're go. Ignition sequence start.
It's a little bit of a stretch of the imagination.
1.
Launch commit.
Yes.
Liftoff. Liftoff.
With my help. With my aid. And it is bothering me.
Okay, back up. All right.
We're aware that you were in the presence of genius.
You're telling me? Why me? Why not? Why not CNN? Is that so? That's the 15-year thing. So that makes sense now. That's why you won't. I can't release it for 15 years. That makes total sense now.
Yes.
I only have this certain amount of time with you, and I'll talk about whatever you want. You know, this isn't some type of joke or
no, it's not
film
joke.
within a film thing.
Not a joke. Nope.
Okay.
The conspiracy theorists were right on this occasion.
Why in God's name would... I don't know what to ask you first. If you're telling the truth, why would you do it? Why the hell did you do this?
I didn't want to do it. It just was... It was against my principles. I thought it was wrong. I didn't believe in perpetrating a fraud like that.
But you did.
It also undermined my artistic integrity to do that.
Stand by for mode 1, Charlie.
Okay. But you ended up saying yes.
11 Houston, thrust is go.
Why?
All engines, you're looking good.
Well, yeah, because...
Hi, Roger, you're loud and clear.
Basically, I was bribed. To put it bluntly, that's what it was. It was just a plain fucking bribe.
We got third step.
I wanted the carte blanche.
Roger, we confirm.
I wanted the lens.
Neil Armstrong confirming both the engine skirt separation and the launch escape tower separation.
I mean, I just...
Tower's gone.
You know...
Roger, tower. Saturn gave us a...
I sold out!
Magnificent ride.
I was a fucking whore.
Wow. I mean, so you feel bad about this, clearly. I mean, this is not...
I do feel bad about it. I also feel proud of it. It's a terrible conflict.
Is that because of the stress of this?
Of course. Stress, guilt, just conflict of all kinds.
If you think of our space program and how many trips we have made since the alleged moon landing.
You say we can't go to the moon. You say we can't go to the moon
because it's impossible to go. It's impossible to get past.
Oh, I mean, what are the reasons? Are there some facts?
You want reasons? I'll give you reasons.
Yeah,
how much time do you have?
T-minus 60 seconds and counting.
Oh, we're going someplace.
Fly me to the moon.
Hey, there it is.
Let me play among the stars.
Electrical power.
Hey, it's starting right for the center of the ring.
Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Here, look out there. I can't believe it.
Guidance.
In other words, hold my hand.
Amazing.
Navigation.
In other words, baby, kiss me.
If you think of our space program and how many trips we have made since the alleged moon landing.
I've tried to cut these corners.
Orion is NASA's next generation spacecraft.
Try to take the easy way out.
Built with versatility in mind.
I kept on falling short of something.
It can take astronauts deeper into space than we've ever gone before.
They stopped in 1972. What sense does that even make?
As we get further away from Earth,
if we went there, 3 or 4 times?
We'll pass through the Van Allen belts.
And haven't gone since? Why would we not go?
Van Allen belts.
Nor has anyone else?
Van Allen belts.
It's not even the Russians?
An area of dangerous radiation.
It's a little bit of a stretch of the imagination.
We'll launch the Orion capsule with humans on board to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. We only can fly in Earth orbit. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond. We take humans into the solar system to explore the moon, Mars, a lot of destinations that we could go to. The moon.
Fill my heart with song. Let me sing forevermore.
Oh my God, right down the middle of the road.
You are all I long for, all I worship and adore.
Fantastic.
In other words, please be true.
Stabilization.
42 degrees, babe.
In other words, I love you.
Just keep sliding in. Coming down at about 99 feet a second. You're looking good.
Propulsion.
Okay, go for landing.
Reaction control.
1. Roger. 40 degrees, LPD.
And we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. We have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
Fill my heart with song, let me sing forevermore.
It provided hot and cold water.
Outstanding, 42 degrees.
You are all I long for, all I worship and adore.
Hey, you're really maneuvering around.
And removed carbon dioxide from the air.
In other words,
come on down, P. Okay. 10% fuel.
Please be true.
3 men could live here for more than a week.
Coming down at 3. Come on down, okay? 180 feet.
Eat, work, sleep, shave.
9%, you're looking good.
In other words,
exercise and listen to music.
96 feet, coming down at 6. Slow down the descent rate.
It was micrometeor proof.
80 feet, coming down at 4. You're looking good.
In other words,
burn proof.
50 feet, coming down. Watch for the dust.
And seaworthy.
40 coming down at 2. Looking good. Watch the dust. Coming down at 2 feet. You got plenty of gas.
And it could tilt itself in any direction. In short, it was the most sophisticated machine ever made by man.
You.
Now, I gotta be honest, I'm completely confused. I mean, hearing about the Van Allen radiation belt and hearing about the technology problems and all the propaganda, I don't know what to think.
Get the president out of the way and hire Stanley Kubrick. Under the Masonic moon, drop from the plane and splash into the ocean. Under the Masonic moon, Werner von Braun and his conspirators got a free ride to the States. Everyone hoped that the boys would come home soon.
Just, how about you walk me through it?
Stanley Kubrick,
I was contacted before I started making 2001.
the man who created 2001, you kind of wonder if he made a deal
And
when he was brought into it.
After Kennedy said his thing, you're saying?
How the deal was made,
well, considerably after then, yeah.
He was brought into it.
the mechanics of it.
They had seen
Under the Masonic moon,
Dr.
Strangelove.
He'd sent the Pentagon the script because he
requested use of the
B-52s
to film.
And they read the script and
refused
and said no. But he got pictures from Aviation Weekly, and with his set designer, they rebuilt the interior and the exterior of B-52s using photographs. They got word of this, and they sent two people. They had visited England, where he was filming, to look at what he was doing. And he actually told people on the set that he may get arrested here. He wasn't sure what would happen. And they came on the set, and they were like...
They were very impressed.
Completely blown away.
We're aware that you were in the presence of genius.
By the look. They were very impressed by the final...
great film. Great film.
It's one of my personal favorites. Yes.
There was a difference of opinion. There were some that just believed honestly that we will never be able to get there. There's just no chance.
Some people didn't believe that you could go even?
Well, Werner von Braun, of course, didn't think so.
The director didn't think so.
It's radioactive half-life.
The man was just too brilliant. He knew that...
I'm convinced that in the space field...
that we couldn't do it.
The Russians are ahead of us. After we are running as fast as they do...
I would think that...
there's still a considerable gap to close.
It would not be difficult, mein Führer.
And only...
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
The future will tell whether we'll manage to
possibly
close that gap.
100 years?
Okay, I'm talking about a guy working on 2 Lost Causes.
they turned Nazi into Nassau.
The Nazism and you know the quest for the moon.
They just couldn't wait.
I suppose it never occurred to you that while we're chatting here so enjoyably,
under the Masonic moon,
a decision is being made by the president. And when they realize there was no possibility, there will be only one course of action open.
And they were planning this fake moon landing.
Total commitment.
Basically, the rest of my career, that I would not be interfered with on any single project, and I was promised this carte blanche.
I've tried to cut these corners, try to take the easy way. I kept on falling short of something.
For instance,
your compensation. You must have been obviously compensated. I mean, you paid. I mean, what?
Yes, well, the most rewarding compensation for me personally.
I mean, what spectacular lighting, and it's all lit with candles.
I know, right?
It's amazing. They actually had to use lenses that they modified that they got from NASA that were used for the Apollo moon landings. And believe it or not, you're actually seeing an f-stop of 0.7, the lowest ever recorded in film.
You look at even today's technology, you know, we really don't even have lenses that are f.7.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
f.9 is about the best you can get. Even then, that's an expensive lens.
Absolutely.
I could have gave up then, but then again I couldn't have, 'cause I've traveled all this way for something. I take it in, but don't look down. 'Cause I'm on top of the world. Hey, I'm on top of the world.
What happens there? You're on set and you got to make a movie that no one knows is a movie.
You saw this sort of a once in a many lifetime opportunity.
About
no one knows it's a fiction movie.
Right. Well, they don't even think it's a movie. They think it's live television programming. But you're faking live
That's
television.
Yep. To play with all these billions of dollars.
See, it even confuses me sometimes.
Well, it's meta layered.
To make.
I mean, you had to make a movie.
True, you know.
The ultimate.
Sometimes I actually believe it myself. It was that good.
That's one false step for man, one giant deceit for mankind.
Movie that no one even knew was a movie.
You mean like when they have like the anniversary?
Right.
I forget sometimes that I made that.
Certainly.
Okay, because it's just so romantic. So
it was very much similar to.
It's just so fucking real. It had to be.
Creatively and artistically, you saw this sort of a once in a many lifetime opportunity.
Yep.
To play with all these billions of dollars to make the ultimate movie that no one even knew was a movie.
Right. It was very much similar to.
When it's cooking,
Dustin Hoffman.
It's cooking.
Wag the Dog, from Academy Award-winning director Barry Levinson.
I mean, obviously, there's some people in the know that must be aware of this secret. Is Wag the Dog a reference to this? Or?
Academy Award winner Dustin Hoffman.
This is politics at its finest.
Dustin Hoffman played this powerful producer.
How would you like an ambassadorship? That's my payoff. Hell, I just do it for a story to tell. Oh, no, you couldn't tell anybody. Listen, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, you couldn't tell
No. Who was contacted by.
Well, the name of his character is Stanley.
It was very much similar to.
Creatively and artistically, you saw this sort of a once in a many lifetime opportunity.
Yep.
To play with all these billions of dollars to make the ultimate movie that no one even knew was a movie.
Right. It was very much similar to.
When it's cooking,
Dustin Hoffman.
It's cooking.
Wag the Dog, from Academy Award-winning director Barry Levinson.
I mean, obviously, there's some people in the know that must be aware of this secret. Is Wag the Dog a reference to this? Or?
Academy Award winner Dustin Hoffman.
This is politics at its finest.
Dustin Hoffman played this powerful producer.
How would you like an ambassadorship? That's my payoff. Hell, I just do it for a story to tell. Oh, no, you couldn't tell anybody. Listen, I'm just kidding. No, you couldn't tell. No.
Who was contacted by.
Well, the name of his character is Stanley. And the reason why you're one of the few, or if only filmmaker in Hollywood that enjoys Final Cut and virtually no studio interference is because of
my cooperation with the government. Yes.
You've pulled off one of the greatest hoaxes ever because of
and because I made a film, if you want to call it a film, which I consider to be my masterpiece.
And you can't take credit or even talk about it as
well,
you are now.
I'm hereby taking credit.
Right, but you can't actually go out. You're doing when people see this, you'll be dead.
Until 10 years.
Right, or 15, yeah.
After my death.
So you can't talk to Roger Ebert about it. You know, does that frustrate you?
I have to pay the consequences for the decision that I made many years ago to go along with this.
Like a deal with the devil.
It's Faustian, to be sure.
And is that why you got such power in Hollywood? I mean, that would explain that.
Why I have the freedom I have, that was part of it, yes.
So they said, do this moon thing and we'll give you...
When I made Spartacus, I didn't have this kind of freedom. I was about to make a film called Barry Lyndon, which I wanted to photograph in direct candlelight. And there was no way to do it.
The lenses weren't fast enough, right? Okay.
They would not accommodate it. So NASA promised me and gave me a lens, a special lens, which they used to photograph the moon, for me to film Barry Lyndon. I think the images were exquisite. I'm very proud of that film.
It's a beautiful film.
Oh yes, and
that was like a $5 million lens or something. It was.
But it was never used again. Yes, because it was promised to me and only to me for that one film.
Right.
But I have it now.
So what came first, the genius or the fraud?
NASA's doing.
Well, what came first, the genius or the fraud? I mean, did the fraud enable the genius, or was the genius released
Well, I'd like
by the
to
fraud?
think the genius came first.
Right.
But some frauds are hard to bypass, especially if you have an ego and you're an artist and you're presented with a challenge, the likes of which you've never seen and will probably never see again. You don't even think of the morality of it. You're just completely swept away by the flattery of it and the juices inside you, which make you want to do it as the artist you are innately. You don't think of anything else.
What a conflict. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine being presented with that opportunity. On one hand, I really would want to do it. But then I'd probably say, well, I'm committing a crime and lying and...
It depends, but my guess would be... No, you if you're good, you would do it. Spielberg, Coppola, Scorsese, even Woody Allen.
I gotta be honest, this is where he got me. I mean, when I actually put myself in his position, when I actually imagined that he was telling the truth and that he was presented with this opportunity, and that if in 1 in a billion chance I lived his life and I was presented with the same opportunity, what would I do?
There isn't one of them who wouldn't do this.
Well, I gotta admit, I'd do it. I'd do it too.
They gotta know at some point. Who? Who? The public. They gotta know? Yes. Stan, get with it. All right. Okay. And you want me to do what? We want you to produce.
Land.
Is that true? You want me to produce your
land.
Is that true?
You basically are given a blank check by the government, and you go where to film this? Where?
An enormous soundstage.
We shot it in a studio.
Somewhere in Nevada.
1/10 scale model of a building.
You can't say where.
All right, people.
No, because everything in Nevada stays in Nevada. But anyway.
Okay.
Let's get started.
That's good enough. Fair enough. So.
Okay, fine. Let's just try one, okay?
This was...
Hey, why don't we just try?
National.
The biggest fiction.
Is that the case?
Well,
of them all.
Just a little bit of a...
The audience is usually aware of the fiction.
This is a special kind of situation.
This was like a documentary.
And everything is go. 00197.
But
at 17,400 miles per hour.
As much fictional
Roger, Eagle, contact.
as anything else
The Eagle has wings.
they've ever seen.
Armstrong and Aldrin enter the lunar module Eagle.
But without their knowing it.
Apollo 11 is on the far side of the moon.
That was the challenge.
And we are about 25 minutes away.
That was why I had to do it.
From the point at which they will undock.
It had never been done before.
We're now in the approach phase, everything looking good.
And no mistakes could be made.
Go for landing, over.
It had to be absolutely perfect.
Fired its engine to slow its descent.
And who the fuck?
You're looking great.
Better than me.
This is Apollo Control, Houston.
To do that.
Look good here, fine. How about you, Telcom? Go.
I made 2001, for God's sake.
Guidance, you happy? Go.
The best sci-fi movie ever made.
Righto. Go. 2,000 feet.
Hey, some people say the best movie ever made.
It's still looking very good.
When I first saw 2001, I didn't like it.
Even Pauline Kael liked it.
And I was very disappointed.
30 seconds forward.
And certainly...
and I went to see it again.
NASA liked it.
And I liked it a lot more.
Eagle slows still more and brakes to a touchdown on the lunar surface.
And the president liked it.
And then a couple of years later, I saw it again, and I thought, gee, this is really a sensational movie.
President Nixon.
It was one of the few times in my life that...
Tranquility Base here.
That was the challenge.
The Eagle has landed.
I realized that the artist was much ahead of me.
That was why I had to do it.
Man on the moon.
It had never been done before.
When this goes national, I get to put it on my resume?
Actually, no.
This was the logical
What the hell is this?
progression
You can never tell anyone you did this.
of that achievement.
What could they do to me?
Wag the dog.
Take him home to your house and kill you.
All right, now I'm really confused because Wag the Dog was about total media manipulation of the public for political purposes.
I have to start by saying that if there was any other way, if there was even the slight chance of another alternative, I would give anything not to be here with you now. Anything.
President Nixon.
I told everybody about this dream I had.
He complimented me on 2001.
And they all looked at me like I was nuts.
He said,
You looked at me and said yes.
speaking of space, you know about...
I remember when Charles was born, we went out and got crocked again. The two of us, Captain Terrific and the Mad Doctor, talking about reaching the stars.
President Kennedy's prediction.
And the bartender telling us maybe we'd had enough.
Of going to the moon by the end of the decade.
And then Armstrong.
Well, it was almost like a mandate. Like, he sort of like, threw the gauntlet down.
And he said...
Stepped out on the moon.
Well, time is running out.
We cried.
But we can't.
We were so proud.
And we want to do that.
I remember when Glenn made his first orbit in Mercury. They put up television sets in Grand Central Station, and tens of thousands of people missed their trains to watch.
It's impossible.
You know, when Apollo 17 landed on the moon, people were calling up the networks and bitching because reruns of I Love Lucy were canceled.
Because they just knew they couldn't get there.
Reruns, for Christ's sake. I can understand if it was a new Lucy show. I mean, what the hell is a walk on the moon?
Because there was just no way we could get there. We tried.
Then suddenly everybody started talking about how much everything cost.
We've been testing this for years.
Was it really worth $20 billion to go to another planet? What about cancer? What about the slums? How much does it cost? How much does any dream cost, for Christ's sake?
As you may have heard, there was a, if you might remember...
You know who was at the launch today? Not the president, the vice president, that's who.
There was a launch pad accident.
The president was busy. He's not busy. He's just a little bit scared.
There was a launch pad accident in 1967 in which...
Gus Grissom.
The famous Gus Grissom.
He sat there 2 months ago and put his feet up on Woodrow Wilson's desk. And he said, Jim, make it good.
The famous Gus Grissom.
Had placed the lemon on the Apollo capsule.
Congress is on my back. They're looking for a reason to cancel the program. We can't afford another screw-up.
A month and a half later, he
was killed, and 2 other astronauts.
We can't afford another screw-up. Make it good. You have my every good wish.
And he was telling his family that there was no way that they were going to get to build.
Has the family,
wife and his children both said that he was disgusted and thinking of quitting. And
Gus was a good guy, but anyway.
So there's no way this is being run by a bunch of idiots.
So there we are. After all those hopes and all that dreaming, he sits there and tells me we can't afford a screw-up.
The greatest thing in the world for this country.
And guess what?
Would be to go to the moon.
We had a screw-up. A first-class, bona fide, made-in-America screw-up.
He didn't even have to finish, but he did.
We found out 2 months ago it won't work.
And explain to me.
It's as simple as that.
that he wanted me to
So all I have to do is report that and scrub the mission.
film.
Congress has its excuse.
One fast step for man,
The president still has his desk.
one giant pursuit for mankind.
But we wouldn't give up. Still work on it.
And we have no more program. What's 16 years for actual drop in the bucket?
We would still be working on it.
All right, that's the end of the speech. Now we're getting to what they call the moment of truth.
Trying to make this trip possible.
I'm going to show you something.
But we have to do it now. Because we were so damn close.
You don't really think you're going to get away with this?
Well, I don't know. It's a chance. Maybe it's not a very good one, but it's a chance.
Put your left hand on the Bible, to raise your right hand, to swear to God.
Who knows about this?
Almost nobody.
Stick it in your ear.
Houston is monitoring the actual flight. All the telemetry is coming from the command module. So are your voices and the medical data. We recorded everything from the practice simulations.
You want me to knock you in the head?
They don't know.
What's treasonous? That's doing something fraudulent to the taxpayers.
All we need from you is the actual television transmissions during the flight.
That's crap.
And the landing, that's all. Just the television transmissions.
That's all.
Take your stuff and get the fuck out.
Just the television transmissions.
And if you press us,
You thought of everything.
I don't know. I hope so.
I will personally take you to court.
Of course, you're sure we'll go along, right?
Because we have proof that would prove it in a court of law
No, I'm not.
that Apollo 11 didn't go to the moon.
What if we say no?
Don't say no.
And I think it's something that you should see it.
When does Alan Funt come running in and tell us we're all on candid camera?
Oh, Jesus. You think I like this? You think I really believe I'm standing here in this craziness telling you about patching in tape recordings and telemetry?
Don't say that lightly, believe me.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing either. I just care so goddamn much. I think it's worth it. I'm not even sure of that. I just think it.
I think I'm going to throw up.
Well, that'll solve everything.
What's this all going to solve?
The moon.
It'll keep something alive that shouldn't die. Before you all begin to moralize, you take a look around. You look at what we've done and how much more we can do. You look at what we've meant to this country. Nobody gives a crap about anything anymore. People close their garages and triple lock their doors, or hide under the beds. They're even afraid to turn on their television sets for fear of what they might find out in the evening news. There's nothing more to believe in. Now, you want to blow this whole thing wide open? God knows what it might do to everybody. I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry. I just don't know what else to do. I'm hanging on by my fingernails, just like everybody else. Go on. You want to be the ones who give everyone another reason to give up? Go on.
As an independent producer. Okay, we're heading out.
We go along with you and lie our asses off in a world of truth and ideals as protected. But we don't want to take part in some giant ripoff of yours, and somehow or other we're managing to ruin the country. You're pretty good, Jim.
You're twisting my words.
Don't sell yourself short.
Don't sell the program short.
Don't oversell it. I'm not so sure that canceling a flight or cutting off appropriations means America folds up.
It's not as simple as that. You know it.
I don't know it. If the only way to keep something alive is to become everything I hate, I don't know if it's worth keeping it alive.
Please, Brew. Don't talk like that.
What the hell's the matter with you? Please, Brew, don't talk like that. I don't think this is right. All the rest is bullshit.
You ever get a gun to shoot them at them before they get out of the office?
You have to help.
What do you mean I have to?
You have to help.
Well, what if I don't?
We have a video camera running if you want to do it.
Please. Don't put me in a corner.
You're crazy. You know that? You know that? You're crazy. You've got us in the middle of this nut house and you don't want to be put in a corner?
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
Your families.
What about our families?
You quote me and say it's bullshit.
Please, you have to help.
What about our families?
You have to help. Oh, shit, this thing is out of my hands. You think it's all a couple of loony scientists. It's not. It's bigger.
Including outtakes from the mission. You'd faking the window shot. Putting the transparency over the window.
There are people out there, forces out there, who have a lot to lose.
Where you put a transparency over the window.
They're grown-ups. It's gotten too big. It's in the hands of grown-ups.
What about our family?
You must be some kind of wacko.
Don't you understand? It doesn't have to be like this. You have to help.
What mission? Apollo 11.
It's gotten out of control. It's too big.
Huh, really?
You wouldn't.
Would you please go away?
Tell me you wouldn't.
I can't tell you that, Brew.
We wouldn't give up. We'd still work on it. We would still be working on it, trying to make this trip possible. But we have to do it now.
As only a few more days of what you might call untrammeled history.
Because we were so damn. Because we were so damn. Because we were so damn close.
Digital transmission, worldwide tracking, stabilization and guidance.
He complimented me on 2001. Then he said, speaking of space, you know about President Kennedy's prediction of going to the moon by the end of the decade.
Well, it was almost like a mandate. Like, he sort of like, threw the gauntlet down.
And he said, well, time is running out, and we want to do that.
We have landed.
Hello, Mr. President. Yes, it's wonderful, isn't it? Proud moment for all Americans. I appreciate it, I really do. Yes. Goodbye. Asshole.
And the government used you as a tool to film.
With my willingness, I admit my part in it.
That's good. That's terrific. And I'll tell you why. It is cost effective.
I was a willing participant, a willing puppet, if you will.
Like a deal with the devil.
It's Faustian, to be sure. Because to me it was the fucking ultimate challenge. I could fool people with this. I am the greatest film artist of the 20th century.
And that's why the video was so crappy in many cases, especially when the lunar module lifted off. It just looked like third-rate video, and they did that on purpose to obscure the fact that it was a model.
We have outboard engines, 3.
But I look at that or even think of it, I just remember it.
We have inboard engines,
And I think maybe it's a terrible thing to say, maybe not.
1, 0. We have a launch commit.
This was my fucking masterpiece.
We have a liftoff at 35 minutes after the hour.
It's flaws. It's my goddamn masterpiece.
As millions all over the world watched and listened,
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Nixon wanted to make a big splash. It was early in his presidency.
Yeah, that would have made him look really like a failure.
Yeah, he wanted to. He wanted his approval points up, and he thought nothing could do it better than this.
The moon that still has not set in some parts of our world has only a few more days of what you might call untrammeled history.
It would be just devastating. Just to keep interest in NASA, and in the next few years, we might actually be able to go for real.
But why are you telling the world? Well, why does the world need to know that the moon landings aren't real and you faked them?
An additional risk
It would be disastrous for NASA.
by making it in full view of the world.
People wouldn't have faith in them anymore.
This very risk enhances our stature.
Their funding would dry up.
When we are successful.
So if we fake this moon landing, yes, this was the ultimate. This was going to be my masterpiece. I felt it even then. I had to do this. I wanted to do it. I didn't care what was the reason for it. I wanted to do it. I needed to do it. It was like getting the life, the assignment, the production dream of a lifetime.
You're saying that the government used you as a tool to film.
With my willingness, I admit my part in it.
That's good. That's terrific. And I'll tell you why. It is cost effective.
I was a willing participant, a willing puppet, if you will.
Like a deal with the devil.
It's Faustian, to be sure. Because to me it was the fucking ultimate challenge. I could fool people with this. I am the greatest film artist of the 20th century.
Well, let's get on with it.
Neil Armstrong, Commander Apollo 11.
Both into Earth orbit and on a trajectory to the moon.
Oxidizer tanks in the second and third stages now have pressurized. T-minus 1 minute, 35 seconds.
So doing it, what was the process of doing it like? What was it like just making another film?
Why didn't you tell the world, eh?
Why are you telling me now on why the delay? I mean, I don't really understand your motive.
On this one, at first I was swept away, of course, by the challenge and by the honor of it, by the flattery of it.
It's going to give us an unmeasurable amount of confidence.
But that day never came, obviously.
That day never came.
And that's why the video was so crappy in many cases, especially when the lunar module lifted off. It just looked like third-rate video, and they did that on purpose to obscure the fact that it was a model.
The under 30s, I haven't met one yet that believes it.
Why you look a little haggard right now? Because you look a little worn. No offense.
Well, also, yeah, because I haven't been taking care of myself too well. I've been drinking a lot, but
We're a great country. We have a lot of abilities, and when we direct our efforts toward an understood goal, we usually solve the problems.
and distance and time to hammer into me what this really meant about society, about myself, about the human condition even, which is what I'm about. And distance and time to hammer into me what this really meant about society, about myself, about the human condition even, which is what I'm about.
We're a great country. We have a lot of abilities, and when we direct our efforts toward an understood goal, we usually solve the problems.
We have outboard engines, 3.
But I look at that or even think of it, I just remember it.
We have inboard engines,
And I think maybe it's a terrible thing to say, maybe not.
1, 0. We have a launch commit.
This was my fucking masterpiece.
We have a liftoff at 35 minutes after the hour.
It's flaws. It's my goddamn masterpiece.
As millions all over the world watched and listened,
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Or wanted to believe it. Maybe on a conscious level they knew we couldn't,
What are you talking about?
but they just wanted to believe the impossible because they were so full of themselves. Or wanted to believe it. Maybe on a conscious level they knew we couldn't.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
the President of the United States spoke to the astronauts across the vastness of space.
To the men of Capricorn 1, I bring you greetings.
Every split second of this historic flight, every intimate detail, every heartbeat was monitored by Mission Control in Houston.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So I want to ask you really kind of an impossible question, but you're the man to give the answers. What do you think this mission will tell us about man?
He was drinking heavily.
If we are successfully able to execute a touchdown and return, it's going to give us an unmeasurable amount of confidence.
Like the stitching in the backdrops, like differences in texture, in lighting. If you look at the moon's surface, beyond a certain line, there was everything was blurred.
Ah, okay.
Like
So
stones
I
on
see.
on the supposed surface of the moon, the rocks were bright, clear as anything on this side of the line, but on the other side, immediately you couldn't see them anymore.
I guess it was flattering to be
Yes,
the only.
absolutely. You can't imagine. You just cannot imagine. Because to me, it was the fucking ultimate challenge. I could fool people with this. I am the greatest film artist of the 20th century.
What was the process of doing it like? What was it like just making another film?
Well, every film is a challenge, but this was the supreme challenge.
Why?
Because it was absolutely necessary, not only that people believe it, but they believe it in spite of the facts.
Okay.
Everything I was filming was a lie on a grand scale. And it was such a, for lack of a better word, a rush, an artistic, aesthetic rush for me, that the morality of it hardly entered into it at all. Maybe not at all.
While you were filming it?
While I was filming it, yes.
In a
way, it was another job, but at the same time, it was the ultimate job. The expectations were just so extraordinary.
Okay. I mean, obviously, yeah. It must have been the biggest challenge of your life.
Absolutely.
I mean, the technical, not to get bogged down into the technical, but just to make it seem like it's really the surface of the moon. And,
yes.
I mean, we must have been technical challenges.
Yes, well, we used a lot of front screen projection.
Right, the Scotch light service, which
Yes,
and
exactly.
you developed that technology, or you perfected that technology during the 2001 shoot.
That's right.
Okay, and
if you examine the photographs, the stills, you can actually see the stitching in the background.
You mean if you were to adjust gamma and contrast, you
That's
could?
Right. Because to me it was the fucking ultimate challenge. I could fool people with this. I am the greatest film artist of the 20th century.
Okay, I guess it was flattering to be
yes,
the only.
Absolutely. You can't imagine. You just cannot imagine.
The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues. Skip Chauvin informing the astronauts that the swing arm now coming back. 4 minutes and counting. We are go for Apollo 11. We'll be coming up in the automatic sequence about 10 or 15 seconds from this time. The vehicle starting to pressurize as far as the propellant tanks are concerned, and all is still go as we monitor our status for it. Firing command coming in now. We're on an automatic sequence as the master computer supervises hundreds of events occurring over these last few minutes. 2 minutes, 10 seconds and counting.
5 first stage engines at the T-minus 8.9 second mark.
So doing it, what was the process of doing it like? What was it like just making another film? So doing it, what was the process of doing it like? What was it like just making another film?
12, 11, 10.
9.
I think that's probably the greatest result of the flight.
He deteriorated. Yeah, like I said, he drank a lot.
It's going to assure those people who have been spending long hours late at night for many years in the computer labs across the street and in the simulations over in the other building and in the program offices that the almost staggering technical job that they tackled is in fact possible for man to conquer. And
You got it.
Bitter.
Given that confidence,
scared,
we will then be in a much better position to accurately judge what we should tackle in the future.
Just phobic, avoiding people.
It won't be marred by a lack of understanding of what can and can't be done.
He was full of self-recrimination, and so was I. Well, mainly from his influence. I mean, when I say it affected me, that's why there was so much time in between films for me. Between Full Metal Jacket and, well, between The Shining and Full Metal Jacket was about 6 years. Between Full Metal Jacket and Eyes Wide Shut is 13 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of that time was spent just, it became very conflicting for me. I was proud of my work, but at the same time, and this was a lot because of Neil's influence. Not consciously. He didn't do this to me consciously. But I spent a lot of time with him, and each time I did, I became more and more bothered, troubled by my own participation in this. He was on the verge of tears. He did not cry. I won't say he cried, but he was on the verge of tears so many times because of what he did. It's almost as if he thought up the idea. It was almost used, really. Yeah, like I said, he drank a lot, but he's the one who felt the guilt. I'm sure NASA did not feel that much guilt. Well, they strung him along because they led him to believe, oh, don't worry, we're going to have the money in a few years, and we'll actually go, and then you will go. We'll have enough, they will be able to actually perform the miracle of going to the moon. And yes, he would be in the saddle.
And so full the dream.
Yes. The dream was very powerful.
That's what beguiled Armstrong. Here is a noble stand-up guy, and he didn't want to be part of the lie, but he knew he'd get a seat if he played ball on when they actually did go up.
He was too good for this.
But that day never came, obviously.
That day never came.
It can be judged on its values. Great country. We have a lot of abilities, and when we direct our efforts toward an understood goal, we usually solve the problems.
The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues. Skip Chauvin informing the astronauts that the swing arm now coming back. 4 minutes and counting. We are go for Apollo 11. We'll be coming up in the automatic sequence about 10 or 15 seconds from this time. The vehicle starting to pressurize as far as the propellant tanks are concerned, and all is still go as we monitor our status for it. Firing command coming in now. We're on an automatic sequence as the master computer supervises hundreds of events occurring over these last few minutes. 2 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting.
I guess it was flattering to be
Yes,
doing it.
absolutely. You can't imagine. You just cannot imagine.
We have outboard engines, 3.
I look at that or even think of it. I just remember it.
We have inboard engines,
And I think maybe it's a terrible thing to say, maybe not.
1, 0. We have a launch commit.
This was my fucking masterpiece.
We have a liftoff at 35 minutes after the hour.
It's flaws. It's my goddamn masterpiece.
As millions all over the world watched and listened,
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Flight began with a vertical lift through the heavy lower atmosphere and a tilt to the east. At 6,000 miles per hour, the empty first stage is discarded to save weight. So is an adapter ring and the unused escape tower. With the second stage firing, it reaches 15,000 miles per hour when it too is jettisoned.
Apollo 11, thank you. Roger up. Apollo 11, this is Houston. Slightly less than 1 minute to ignition, and everything is go.
The third stage places Apollo in Earth orbit.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. Okay, Pyro B coming armed. My intent is to use bottle primary 1 as per the checklist, therefore just turn down. Noun 44 is NA. Delta VT 00197.
At 17,400 miles per hour. When the spacecraft has been thoroughly checked out by the crew, the third stage fires again, its speed now tearing it free from the grip of Earth's gravity.
003 0015.
While coasting outward, the command service module separates and docks for access to the lunar module, and the empty third stage is left behind. Apollo loses speed throughout 9/10 of its journey until the moon's gravity overcomes the pull of Earth.
Roger, Eagle, I'm docked.
Apollo fires in reverse direction.
All right, people. Let's get started. Okay, fine. Let's just try one, okay? Why don't we just try?
National? Is that the case?
Well, it's a little bit of a...
Going
for a direct
buyout.
Yeah, why don't you just have your regular... What the
I
hell
know it's
is
gonna
this?
be fine.
This is a special kind of situation.
When this goes national, I get to put it on my resume?
Actually, no.
Because, like, what is it, a guild thing or something? I mean,
You can never tell anyone you did this.
what could they do to me?
They'd come home to your house and kill you.
Roger, how does it look?
Slowing down enough to be captured in orbit about the moon.
The Eagle has wings. Roger.
Armstrong and Aldrin enter the lunar module Eagle. The Eagle has wings, which separates, leaving Collins and the command service module in lunar orbit. On its own now, but with Columbia near at hand, it coasted around to the backside of the moon.
Apollo 11 is on the far side of the moon, and we are about 25 minutes away now from the point at which they will undock to separate the two spacecraft, Eagle and Columbia. And Jules Bergman is down in our mock-up. Forward, coming down nicely, 200 feet.
We're going to be down about 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, that's good. We can leak that to the press. They can downlink it on Telstar 401 Transporter 21.
Makes you glad you've lived this long.
4.5 down, 5.5 down. 6.5 down, 5.5 down. 9 forward. Good. 20 feet. 100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward. 5%. 185. Okay, 75 feet. Guys looking good, down a half.
We're now in the approach phase. Everything looking good. Altitude 4,200.
Houston, you're go for landing, over.
It fired its engine to slow its descent.
Roger, understand. Go for landing. 3,000 feet. You're looking great.
This is Apollo Control, Houston, at 105 hours.
We look good here. Fine. How about you, Telcom? Go. Oh, guidance, you happy? Go. Fido. Go. 2,000 feet. 2,000 feet. Into the ag. 47 degrees. Roger. 47 degrees.
Still looking very good.
You're 100 feet. 3.5 down. 9 forward. 60 seconds. 4 forward. Drift into the right a little. 30 seconds forward.
Eagle slows still more and brakes to a touchdown on the lunar surface.
Six forward.
Back right.
For home.
That's one small step for man. One giant leap for man. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Man on the moon.
Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. Houston,
Oh, jeez.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
Ooh. Oh, boy.
Thank you. You're looking good here.
Why say something? I'm speechless. Boy.
Okay, we're going to be busy for a minute.
There's a foot coming down.
There he is. There's a foot coming down the steps.
I'm at the foot of the ladder.
Boy, look at those pictures. Wow.
That's one small step for man.
On this July 20th, 1969.
That's one small step for man. One small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
On this July 20th, 1969.
That's one small step for man.
After the moonwalk, the upper stage of the Eagle lifts off, leaving behind the now useless landing stage, and swings into orbit to dock with Columbia once again. When the crew and moon samples are transferred to the command service module, the lunar module is discarded. The command service module fires itself out of lunar orbit and falls back to Earth. As it approaches the re-entry speed of nearly 25,000 miles per hour, the service module drops away. The command module plunges into the atmosphere, protected by its heat shield. Slowed still more by the heavy lower atmosphere, it parachutes into the sea. The command module Columbia is all that remains of the original 3,000 tons of rocket, fuel, and cargo.
America has seldom witnessed a more poignant picture of the human race than that which armed
Fantastic. Great.
That was good.
They used the same process with the last Schwarzenegger movie. Fantastic.
Isn't that amazing how they do that?
And you know what? Conrad, this is only the beginning.
You wrote the lines for these astronauts and stuff, and I mean, the one small step.
Yes, well, there wasn't much to write, but yes, I did.
Okay.
That one small step, which Armstrong fucked up, actually.
That's one small step for man.
He fucked it up.
Okay.
Funny, I should say on the moon, but it was actually on the set.
Okay. Yeah.
One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind.
That was
he left out the A.
Okay.
He is on the moon. That's 4 seconds. L'homme est sur la Lune à 22h50.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason that you want to tell the world this? It must
Well, I chose you. I trust you because
you trust me because I'm a nobody that you can control and get the 15-year thing. No offense to me.
I should say on the moon, but it was actually on the set.
Okay.
Yeah.
One small step for man.
One giant leap for mankind.
One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind.
That was
he left out the A.
Okay.
It's funny, I should say on the moon, but it was actually on the set.
Okay. Touche.
Yeah.
L'homme est sur la Lune à 22h50.人類が月面に到着しました。ケープケネディ時間で4時17分。最近船長は船からロシアに降りました。
That looks beautiful to me, Neil. It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here. There you go. Okay, now I think I'll do the same. A little more. About another inch. There, you got it? That's a good step.
They're setting up the flag now. I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the scene.
That's all right, I don't mind a bit. Beautiful, just beautiful. How is the quality of the TV?
Oh, it's beautiful, Mike. Really great for the whole world.
This means a lot to all the countries, not just for America.
And being out of it and being closer to the moon makes us realize that we're all human beings together.
I hope this brings unity amongst all countries.
And I just hope it won't help you from solving all internal problems you may have.
Well, I think it's a waste of a lot of money that could be used for something else. They holler about people are being on starvation.
This huge amount of money Americans spend to see what the moon is like. What for?
It's disgusting. It's a pity they haven't got something else to do. Be better if they'd done something for the old ones.
What if Columbus had decided he just couldn't get the money from Isabella? Where would we be?
That's one of God's celestial planets, and he put it in the sky for a purpose, and he didn't put it up there for people to clutter up like they have the Earth.
Myself, I'm really interested to see what's up there. And
we must open all secrets that are opening to us throughout the ages.
Apollo 11, this is Hornet, over. Apollo 1, this is Apollo 11, reaching your last course. Our position 1330, 6915. 11 Hornet, copy, 1330, 1675. Any further data, over? 330, 169er, 15.
What was it we were really celebrating? 3 men who had done what no man before had done?
Astronauts Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin.
This is the defining moment of their careers, of their life, of history itself.
The world is watching them lie through their teeth, carrying on a hoax that is so outrageous that they're beyond human. They couldn't cover it up. They were just too human.
Exactly. You can see on Neil Armstrong particularly, he doesn't want to lie. This guy just doesn't want to lie. No. He's looking down. He just doesn't want to say anything. This is why he didn't give any interviews for the rest of his life.
It's really embarrassing. I mean, It's just embarrassing.
It infected me.
Well, I guess when
I was especially pissed at myself because I didn't feel it earlier.
Okay, right.
Why it took me so long?
Right. Well, you were so enjoying the high life of Hollywood kingsmanship. I mean, maybe that blinded you. I mean, Neil only was up once. You know, he only
it
was up once.
It all came back to the ego trip, the flattery of being told you're the only person who can do something. That's the ultimate trip.
So you were manipulated.
I was manipulated, but as my wife said, I made the choice. It took someone like Neil Armstrong and distance and time to hammer into me what this really meant about society, about myself, about the human condition even, which is what I'm about.
And on a trajectory to the moon.
Neil?
For years, just thinking I was doing the right thing, just through my art, you know, and then something comes along that you don't even recognize as a temptation because you're so swept away by your own ego.
And you were involved in Apollo 11, 12, and the rumor is 11, 12, and 13. So you wrote even the conflict, and that was because of the public losing interest in the program. Did that give you any conflict? The fact that you had to write this false tragedy that worked out. I mean, that's the most manipulative. I mean, it's one thing to have them land on the moon, everyone feels good, but Apollo 13 was like a near-death thing. I mean, that was from a storytelling point, it was very effective, but very manipulative. But I guess that was your only, at the time, there was no interest in the program anymore by the American public. Was that frustrating?
It had become old hat, not just for the public, but also for me. I mean, it was not as juicy as the first moon landing.
And so, and you came up with the idea of having these astronauts obviously be stranded out in space because you thought obviously it would make people care about them again. I mean, did you ever, yeah, I don't know about your creative choices there, but do you see it all as one work, the whole Apollo issue, or do you see the triumphant Apollo 11 mission different than the 13, which
the rest of it is kind of a blur.
Okay.
I remember the first vividly, and the rest just kind of.
Okay, so.
Just in case. Maybe I should leave some clues here and there.
Although the seams, it's coming. We'll talk about this later, but it's coming apart the seams a bit.
As good as Kubrick is,
because of things that I don't know. If
even though yes, there were mistakes made.
I don't think he made a mistake. I think he left telltale signs in the video, in the photos, intentionally.
He did.
What clues? I mean,
some obvious errors, obvious mistakes. Not really obvious, but to the discerning eye, to leave some clues here and there.
And I'm not sure whether those mistakes were deliberate or because I was
subconscious,
careless. Yeah, I might have been like secretly, appropriate word, sabotaging the thing.
And the number one is when the lunar lander, the LEM, hit the soil and put down. There's no blast hole under it. No. None of that lunar dust even moved.
No, because
it was put there by a crane.
Yeah, well, there's actually photographs of the lunar rover sitting on the ground next to the module, obviously taken like through the window, and there's no tracks. I mean, behind the lunar rover, it just it just got plopped there.
That's
without
funny.
any. And this happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there's
But on a conscious level, I think I had to leave clues for the future.
Right. So anyone that looked close enough could detect.
Right.
An article by a Ukrainian physicist, Oleg Olenek.
Yes.
And he did 3D parallax viewing of the Apollo photographs.
Story. Wonderful story. That is the lock. That is irrefutable science. That's hard science.
It's in the casket. It's buried. It's whatever cliches you want to come up with. you know, the smoking gun. But anyway, folks, what he did, and just type in Oleg Olenek.
Obvious ones for anyone to recognize, but evident enough to be proof of something.
You embedded the technical, the irreconcilable paradox of parallax, for example. I mean,
exactly.
You know, anyone with Photoshop can, I mean, I haven't done it, but someone could examine those photos and easily measure the distances and angles.
It would take a very technical eye to do that. I mean, most people would not notice it at all.
He took two photographs that were slightly apart from each other and then combined them. And what you do is you create parallax so you can look at the backgrounds. And when you jiggle the two separated photographs, say separated by a meter or so, the background should not move because it's far away, right? You understand what I mean? The background will not move, the foreground will. If the background moves, that means it's a lot closer to the foreground than we think. And that's exactly what happened. And Dr. Olenek concluded that the astronauts were standing in front of a screen that was about 30 meters behind them.
One thing, for example, is all the shadows would have to be in one direction, for example.
Right, but they weren't.
The seams, it's coming, we'll talk about this later, but it's coming apart at the seams a bit.
As good as Kubrick is,
because of things that I don't know.
Even though, yes, there were mistakes made.
I don't think he made a mistake. I think he left telltale signs in the video, in the photos, intentionally.
He did.
What clues? I mean,
some obvious errors, obvious mistakes, not really obvious, but to the discerning eye, to leave some clues here and there.
And I'm not sure whether those mistakes were deliberate or because I was
subconscious,
just careless. Yeah, I might have been like secretly, appropriate word, sabotaging the thing.
And the number one is when the lunar lander, the LEM, hit the soil and put down. There's no blast hole under it. No. None of that lunar dust even moved.
No, because
it was put there by a crane.
Yeah, well, there's actually photographs of the lunar rover sitting on the ground next to the module, obviously taken like through the window, and there's no tracks. I mean, behind the lunar rover, it just it just got plopped there.
That's
without
funny.
any. And this happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there's
But on a conscious level, I think I had to leave clues for the future.
Right. So anyone that looked close enough could detect.
Right.
An article by a Ukrainian physicist, Oleg Olenek.
Yes.
And he did 3D parallax viewing of the Apollo photographs.
Story. Wonderful story. That is the lock. That is irrefutable science. That's hard science.
It's in the casket. It's buried. Whatever cliches you want to come up with, the smoking gun. But anyway, folks, what he did, and just type in Oleg Olenek.
They had built one in Palmdale or Lancaster, I heard. I don't know where it was, but this was all staged, and that's why the video was so crappy in many cases, especially when the lunar module lifted off. It just looked like third-rate video, and they did that on purpose to obscure the fact that it was a model.
Millennials don't believe it at all, by the way. They're under 30s. They don't. I haven't met one yet that believes it.
Obvious ones for anyone to recognize, but evident enough to be proof of something.
You embedded the technical, the irreconcilable paradox of parallax, for example. I mean,
exactly.
Anyone with Photoshop can. I mean, I haven't done it, but someone could examine those photos and easily measure the distances and angles.
It would take a very technical eye to do that. I mean, most people would not notice it at all.
Is it why you left the States?
Yes.
Why are you telling anybody this? I mean, this is, you're admitting complicity. I mean, I'm processing this now, but it's sort of a fraud. No offense, sir.
Why didn't you tell the world, eh?
Simple. There was a story I ran yesterday about the Apollo photographs. And more people are getting onto this. A Stanley Kubrick production. There was too much writing on this whole thing. It was all shot on the back lot on an enormous sound stage somewhere. I don't know where it was, but this was all staged. And that's why the video was so crappy in many cases, especially when the lunar module lifted off. It just looked like third-rate video, and they did that on purpose.
Olenek?
Yes.
Oleg Olenek?
Yes.
And he did 3D parallax viewing of the Apollo
Beautiful
photographs.
Story. Wonderful story. That is the lock. That is the irrefutable science. That's hard science.
It's in the casket. It's buried. Whatever cliches you want to come up with, the smoking gun. But anyway, folks, what he did, and just type in Oleg Olenek, and Jeff has the article up at his archives, and is that he took two photographs that were slightly apart from each other, and then combined them. And what you do is you create parallax, so you can look at the backgrounds, and when you jiggle the two separated photographs, say separated by a meter or so, the background should not move because it's far away, right? You understand what I mean? The background will not move, the foreground will. If the background moves, that means it's a lot closer to the foreground than we think, and that's exactly what happened. And Dr. Olenek, concluded that the astronauts were standing in front of a screen that was about 30 meters behind them. The hottest screenplay in Hollywood right now is called 1969, A Space Odyssey, which is about the travails of Stanley going through faking the moon landings. He didn't do it in 1969.
Wait, are you saying there's a screenplay already written and it's being passed around? Has someone signed on for it?
Not yet. But it's considered the hottest screenplay, unsigned screenplay in Hollywood right now.
I don't think he made a mistake. I think he left telltale signs in the video, in the photos, intentionally.
He did.
And the number one is when the lunar lander, the LEM, hit the soil and put down. There's no blast hole under it. No. None of that lunar dust even moved. Because it was put there by a crane.
There's actually photographs of the lunar rover sitting on the ground next to the module, obviously taken like through the window, and there's no tracks. I mean, behind the lunar rover.
Oh, funny.
It just it just got plopped there.
That's
without
funny.
any. And this happens quite a bit.
For those people then out there who are seeing this for the first time and say, "Well, this is bullshit," or "This isn't possibly true," what is the duty of every citizen? I mean, people are going to look to the government to corroborate what you said. The government will probably not corroborate what you say. So then what do you have a message for anyone watching this, whenever that may be? Do you think that this is more than about the moon, or is it just about the moon? I mean, is there some greater lesson in this? Is there some greater truth? We're all taught we landed on the moon, and from childhood on, just like the Earth goes around the sun, and it's one of the great truths we're taught. And you're basically asking people to take one of their most cherished truths and throw it out the window. Why? I mean, why should we believe you, or why should anyone even go through the process of examining such a thing?
You have a choice. You can believe it or not believe it. I can't control what people believe.
Why is it important for somebody to consider that this might be truthful? But someone could say, you know what, this guy's off his meds. He's going senile. Stanley Kubrick's lost his marbles. I mean, why should we question such a sacred achievement by America? Why should we're taking our arguably greatest achievement and saying it didn't exist? Why should Americans believe you? Why should Americans even analyze this question?
I am devoted to truth.
Why did it take 30 years? Why didn't you come clean in 75, 74, whenever? You lied for 30 years about this.
Well, not anymore.
You're making this tape out of an effect Neil had on you? I mean, Armstrong sort of influenced
Very
you?
much. Sometimes it just takes a catalyst. I mean, somewhere inside you know what's right.
You've pulled off one of the greatest hoaxes ever because of your...
And because I made a film, if you want to call it a film, which I consider to be my masterpiece.
And you can't take credit or even talk about it
Well,
you are now.
I'm hereby taking credit.
Right, but you can't actually go out. You're doing when people see this, you'll be dead.
Until 10 years.
Right,
15
or 15,
years
yeah.
after my death.
So you can't talk to Roger Ebert about it. Does that frustrate you?
I have to pay the consequences for the decision that I made many years ago to go along with this.
So you're saying the reason why you're one of the few, or if only, filmmaker in Hollywood that enjoys Final Cut and virtually no studio interference is because of
my cooperation with the government.
Like a deal with the devil.
Yes. It's Faustian, to be sure.
And is that why you got such power in Hollywood? I mean, that would explain that.
Why I have the freedom I have, that was part of it, yes. When I made Spartacus, I didn't have this kind of freedom. But I have it now.
Well, what came first, the genius or the fraud? The fraud enabled the genius?
I'd like to think the genius came first. I'm about to make a film called Barry Lyndon, which I wanted to photograph in direct candlelight. And there was no way to do it.
The lenses weren't fast enough, right? Okay.
They would not. They would not accommodate it. So NASA promised me and gave me a lens, a special lens, which they used to photograph the moon, for me to film Barry Lyndon. I think the images were exquisite. I'm very proud of that film.
It's a beautiful film.
Oh yes, and
that was like a $5 million lens or something. It was.
But it was never used again. Yes, because it was promised to me and only to me for that one film.
Right.
But some frauds are hard to bypass, especially if you have an ego and you're an artist and you're presented with a challenge, the likes of which you've never seen and will probably never see again. You don't even think of the morality of it. You're just completely swept away by the flattery of it and the juices inside you, which make you want to do it as the artist you are innately. You don't think of anything else.
What a conflict. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine being presented with that opportunity. On one hand, I really would want to do it, but then I'd probably say, well, I'm committing a crime and lying and...
It depends, but my guess would be no, you if you're good, you would do it.
The audience is usually aware of the fiction. This was like a documentary, but as much fictional as anything else they've ever seen. But without their knowing it. That was the challenge. That was why I had to do it. It had never been done before. And no mistakes could be made. It had to be absolutely perfect. And who the fuck better than me to do that? I made 2001, for God's sake. The best sci-fi movie ever made. Some people say the best movie ever made. Even Pauline Kael liked it. And certainly... NASA liked it, and the president liked it, President Nixon. This was the logical progression of that achievement.
I think it was, yes, it was very much Faustian. I discussed this with Levinson, Barry Levinson.
Right.
I discussed it with...
Oh, he made Wag the Dog, right? Yeah.
Yes. Spielberg, of all people, believe it or not, yes.
So wait, Wag the Dog...
Coppola, Scorsese.
Is there a reason that you want to tell the world this? It must
well, I chose you. I trust you because I...
You trust me because I'm a nobody that you can control. I'm a nobody you can control and get the 15-year thing. No offense to me. Why tell me and why delay it 15 years? I mean, what's your motivation?
I'm not ready, and I'm sure a lot of other people aren't ready to have this information revealed right now. So I'm putting it off. He was bothered by it.
Such a moral, principled man. Why would he go on a fake moon mission? I don't believe that.
He was rather tortured by it the rest of his life.
You're supposed to be, and you are a pilot, not a philosopher, but you are going to be the first man to land on the moon. You must have thought well beyond the technical, purely scientific aspects of this mission.
You're making this tape out of an effect Neil had on you? I mean, Armstrong sort of influenced you?
Very much.
Everyone that's ever believed we went to the moon now has to question whether we did, because the most respected filmmaker in the world says that he directed the landing. So that's a heavy thing to put on everyone's head and to pontificate and contemplate. Why are you doing it? You must think it's worth it. Why is it worth it? Why is challenging everyone's preconceived notion about our greatest achievement? Why is it worth blowing that for everyone now?
I'm hoping.
Do you see?
I don't know, but I'm hoping.
Do you see the moon landing as a film? I mean, do you include it in your body of work? Okay, do you include this in your body of work as an artist? Do you think it is another? It is another film.
No.
No.
Not anymore.
But you did at one point.
Yes, I did. That's why I went into it. That's why I agreed to it. But no, not now.
I mean,
I told you already.
Say it again.
Truth.
Because of truth.
It is more of an achievement than going to the fucking moon. Sometimes it seems harder to do. Going to the moon is damn fucking hard, but telling the truth seems to be even harder a lot of times.
Why did you end up giving in and being complicit with this fraud? You said no to Rumsfeld, you said no to Kissinger, but they dangled all this power and all this flattery on you, essentially. And
yeah, it got to me after a while. You can listen to so much of that stuff before you start to believe it, you know?
They just said you were the greatest. We couldn't do that, yeah.
Yeah, and I agreed with them. And I thought, not only did I think it was a challenge, I thought it was a duty to do this.
Explain that a bit. What do you mean? How is it like a patriotic duty?
I don't mean a patriotic duty, no. I meant an artistic duty. I meant it was a duty to myself to do the absolute best fraud I could do, because let's face it, filmmaking in itself is a fraud. You're telling a story, you're not telling the truth.
True.
And this is like the ultimate fraud. This is the ultimate filmmaking because it's the ultimate fraud. It's the same thing. Filmmaking is a fraud.
I mean,
it's art, but it's still a fraud. Because that's what art is. It's a fraud.
Right.
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't.
And that's how I rationalized it.
But you feel guilty about that now?
Now I do, yeah. I think that going to the moon is such an achievement.
Yeah, they did at the time. Look,
I know. Well, telling the truth is more of an achievement.
But that you didn't believe that for 30 years. So what knocked you in your head?
What would I say now, knowing what I know now?
Right. And what do you know now? What is it that's changed in 30 years? Now that you've had your career and you're looking in the rearview mirror of it, and you have all the money and you have all the press and you've gotten all your awards and everyone thinks you're the biggest genius ever. Why is it that now you've gotten a conscience or now you've got morality? Why?
Well, regardless of despite what people think of artists, we do have consciences, some of us. And, I mean, up to a point, you're like the characters in an Ingmar Bergman movie, like Persona or something, where you just disregard everything human to get the art, just to get the art. You discount relationships and morals and everything, ethics, to get the art. But there are occasions where you cross the line, and you might not regret it at first, but you do years later. And I made some mistakes beginning in the 60s, which are just lately catching up with me.
But do you feel like now with technology and computers that things like this could be more easily revealed? I mean,
Yes, but at this point I don't care.
And hence, that's why you're telling me.
Exactly.
I mean...
And it infected me.
Well, I guess...
And I was especially pissed at myself because I didn't feel it earlier.
Okay. Right.
Why it took me so long?
Right. Well, you were so enjoying the high life of Hollywood kingsmanship. I mean, maybe that blinded you. I mean, Neil only was up once. You know, he only
it
up
all
once.
came back to the ego trip, the flattery of being told you're the only person who can do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? That's the ultimate trip.
Right.
Artistic, creative trip.
So you were manipulated.
I was manipulated, but as my wife said, I made the choice. Like the stitching in the backdrops, like differences in texture, in lighting. If you look at the moon's surface, beyond a certain line, there was everything was blurred.
Ah, okay. So,
stones
I see.
On the supposed surface of the moon, the rocks were bright, clear as anything on this side of the line, but on the other side, immediately you couldn't see them anymore.
So, in other words...
Not obvious ones for anyone to recognize, but evident enough to be proof of something.
And is that he took two photographs that were slightly apart from each other and then combined them, and what you do is you create parallax so you can look at the backgrounds, and when you jiggle the two separated photographs, say separated by a meter or so, the background should not move because it's far away, right? You understand what I mean? The background will not move, the foreground will. If the background moves, that means it's a lot closer to the foreground than we think, and that's exactly what happened. And Dr. Olenek concluded that the astronauts were standing in front of a screen that was about 30 meters behind them.
Right. For the future.
You embedded the technical, the irreconcilable paradox of parallax, for example. I mean,
exactly.
You know, anyone with Photoshop can. I mean, I haven't done it, but someone could examine those photos and usually measure the distances and angles. I mean,
exactly.
Are you so you're telling me? I mean,
it would take a very technical eye to do that. I mean, most people would not notice it at all.
Right. And is that okay? So let me just get my head around. So. One thing, for example, is all the shadows would have to be in one direction, for example.
Right, but they weren't.
And I think that was characteristic of all the events of the flight. The Saturn gave us one magnificent ride.
He wouldn't let you take pictures of him on the...
No, well, he figured that the footage of him getting down off the ladder was enough, saying, you know, my line, which he blew, you know, I should have hired, I guess, real actors.
Into Earth orbit and on a trajectory to the moon.
Mr. Armstrong, Bart Sibrel, ABC Digital. Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear in the Bible that you walked on the moon. Well, you have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you'd swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Please
I have
give
the
it to
tape.
charity. That'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to... Why not? Why won't you do it?
There are great ideas undiscovered.
Gradually lost interest in it.
The flight of the Apollo 13 to the moon is in serious jeopardy this morning and is not going to make a moon landing. As the Apollo 13 was some 205,000 miles from Earth, speeding toward its rendezvous with the moon scheduled for tomorrow night, The fuel cells that supply it with electrical power suddenly failed. With this lack of power, the mission could not be completed to the moon, and it is now a question of getting the men home safely.
We needed something to get the audience back, so we invented a real disaster. That's what Apollo 13 was. It was intended as a fucking disaster. That's what it was. That's why we did it that way.
That can be done with the use of the descent propulsion system engine of the lunar landing craft itself, which of course is now attached to the nose of the command module. But that will be a first, of course, in space.
You're basically having them fail to get people interested again, but wouldn't that...
It's ironic, isn't it? But true, yeah.
Okay.
We had to have a failure to bring people back.
And this is indeed the gravest emergency.
And I guess, and they certainly watched that. That was a huge ratings hit.
Probably yet in the American space program.
So, so the near-death experience was just for obviously a ratings manipulation, and it worked, obviously.
Right. I mean, nobody was watching until that happened.
Yeah.
Then everybody was watching.
I mean, they didn't even. I don't think they.
Crisis.
Right, they didn't show even the launch. I don't think the networks did not show the.
No, they didn't. It was just too boring at that point. People didn't care.
And you were spending billions of dollars.
That's why we had to have a disaster.
Odyssey Houston standing by, over.
Okay, go over.
But they couldn't die.
No, they could not die.
Odyssey Houston, we show you on the mains. It really looks great.
That would have been too much.
Yeah.
Apollo 13, this is recovery, over. They're going to 5,000. Under Apollo 13, this is recovery, and your chutes look good. Apollo 13, this is recovery. We observed your RCS burn, over. The recovery, Apollo 13 is descending.
Okay.
Especially since they would have been seen walking around probably somewhere.
Photo 1 spliced in at this time. The three chutes are displaced in the water. R0 degrees, magnetic 3.5 miles.
Right, because you'd have to kill them in real life.
Yes, you'd have to kill them in real life.
Command module is stable 1 at this time. They're riding comfortably. The vertical axis are approximately 15 degrees. Swim 1, you're cleared into position 33, the other 2 units. Swim 1, Roger. Gang clear to you, wind line 270.
I wouldn't put above NASA.
Sure, or the government. Do you have any, help on 13?
I recall, Captain, that when I spoke to you on the phone, you said that you regretted that you were unable to complete your mission. I hereby declare that this was a successful mission.
Yeah, Neil helped a lot.
From the start, the exploration of space has been hazardous adventure. The voyage of Apollo 13 dramatized its risks. The men of Apollo 13.
How?
Well, because Neil had been there. He knew all the ins and outs, all the details, and gave us all the minutia that we needed to. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong on a mission? And, he explained, I don't know, a blown fuse or something, whatever he said. He gave us all the minutia we needed and just followed his instructions.
But you had actually, I guess you added the emotional arc of it.
Yes.
Yeah, whether
we had to rehearse a lot.
Okay. And so...
Lovell especially was not doing his part well, but
Okay.
after some work, yeah.
Okay. And so.
He brought it along and pulled it off.
And you were involved in Apollo 11, 12, and the rumor is 11, 12, and 13. So you wrote even the conflict, and that was because of the public losing interest in the program. Did that give you any conflict? The fact that you had to write this false tragedy that worked out. I mean, that's the most manipulative. I mean, it's one thing to have them land on the moon, everyone feels good, but Apollo 13 was like a near-death thing. I mean, that was from a storytelling point, it was very effective, but very manipulative. But I guess that was your only, at the time, there was no interest in the program anymore by the American public. Was that frustrating?
It had become old hat, not just for the public, but also for me. I mean, it was not as juicy as the first moon landing.
And so, and you came up with the idea of having these astronauts obviously be stranded out in space because
I went for years just thinking I was doing the right thing, just through my art. Then something comes along that you don't even recognize as a temptation because you're so swept away by your own ego. It took someone like Neil Armstrong and distance and time to hammer into me what this really meant about society, about myself, about the human condition.
Do you think people like yourself were too consumed with their own self-interest to...
Absolutely.
To be honest, why should anyone feel... I mean, I'm not sure why you'd be forgiven. You got everything out of this deal.
Don't forgive me. I'm not asking for forgiveness.
People should take even your work seriously. All your work was enabled largely by this in a way. I mean, this work, from the lens from Barry Lyndon to the access to the budgets to the creative control. I mean, you made a deal with the devil.
Yes, I did.
Is it your own self-interest that kept you for 30 years, keeping the lie going? I mean, you just...
Yes, pretty much, yes.
Why did it take 30 years for you to come forward?
Because I'm a flawed individual. I'm not doing this for forgiveness. I'm doing it for my own sense of integrity. You could say that's completely selfish, and maybe it is, but I don't think it's selfish. I think that I'm doing this for humanity, to help them understand better if they don't already understand, to help them...
Understand what? That's interesting. What?
To know what is going on above them.
What is going on?
Far above them.
What is going on? Just like, is that what Eyes Wide Shut refers to? The idea that there is this invisible landscape going on right in front of everyone's faces and everyone ignores it? I mean, what's your greater...
Yes. Don't stop just being delusional. Pay attention, but just look, just see.
But Eyes Wide Shut almost, as a title, refers not to ignorance, but apathy. I mean, is that really...
Yes, but that's what I'm telling people to abandon.
So Eyes Wide Shut refers to, like, the no monkey see, no, like kind of ignorance of secrets.
It's a contradiction in terms.
Sure. Obviously, yeah.
Obviously, yes. Of people's eyes seeming to be open, but in reality...
Or people not wanting to know the truth.
Exactly.
So, is Eyes Wide Shut a reference at all to this whole moon thing? I mean, I heard it's about sexuality.
It's a veiled reference to it, yeah, because it's about truth.
We have had the wool pulled so clearly over us that we don't even know what's going on.
This is Capricorn 1. We have landed.
As millions all over the world watched and listened, the President of the United States spoke to the astronauts across the vastness of space.
To the men of Capricorn 1, I bring you greetings from your fellow Americans.
There's only one small catch. It never happened. It's all a lie, a fantastic $30 billion hoax.
It's not about the sexual underground. It's about truth.
And the search for truth,
Yes, exactly.
I mean, Eyes Wide Shut suggests someone's reluctance to even accept the truth.
Exactly.
Do you think, do you think there's people that will watch this whenever that is, 15 years after, hopefully, your death at a great old age, but do you think there's people that will still not believe
Well, do you think there's people that will believe we went to the moon even with this admission?
Oh yeah, there's going to be people who believe, you know.
Why will they believe? I mean, here's the man himself who's admitting it, the ultimate credible. I mean, you're a very credible person in the culture. Do you think people
want to believe what they want to believe? If people believe what they want to believe, you can't change them.
So are you contending that people don't want to know the truth about the world, reality, the moon landings? Are you saying it's a metaphor?
People want to believe in ideals, and that's understandable up to a degree. People want to believe in ideals. But the government, knowing this, takes advantage of it by perpetrating fraud after fraud after fraud.
So Neil really got to you. I mean, it sounds like he's the impetus of this entire confession in a way. I mean, it's like a theme. Like, so he really made you become circumspect about this.
He even virtually begged me to reveal all this. He couldn't do it himself. He has a pension to worry about.
But you still must fear one thing they can do to you, which is, I mean, I don't know. Do you ever? I mean, you obviously. Do you ever worry about them killing you because of the secret? You have become a bit of a recluse.
Garbo, Howard Hughes, J.D. Salinger, and me, and to some degree Neil.
The 15-year thing. I can't release this till 15 years after your death, and you're leaving us with a time bomb that will explode in 15 years after your death. Do you think people will believe you? You're obviously forbidden under the Secrets Act. You're not allowed to tell anyone this.
I get to put it on my resume?
You must have made some deal with the government, clearly.
Actually, no.
Right? I mean, you're not allowed to tell anyone this. You're breaking your contract with them, telling me?
What could they do to me?
Well, let's just leave that.
Take them home to your house and kill you.
I want the credit. I want the credit. Take it. Goodbye.
Is there any part of this where you maybe are telling me or the world because you want the credit denied to you? Here you've made...
Like Dustin Hoffman at the end of Wag the Dog, yes.
That's exactly what I'm referring to.
I want the credit. The credit.
Can't do it. Don't you tell me that. Don't you ever tell me that. I'm the producer of the show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish. Look at that.
You're looking great. This is Apollo Control Houston at 105 hours. We look good here, fine. All right, how about you, Telcom? Go. Oh, guidance, you happy? Go. Fido. Go.
2,000 feet, 2,000 feet. Into the ag, 47 degrees. Roger. 47 degrees.
Still looking very good. You're
100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward.
Complete fucking fraud, and it looks 100% real.
It's the best work I've ever done in my life. Because it's so...
Okay, we're going to be busy for a minute.
That is...
Obviously, the government said it will kill you if you say anything. I mean, that's a standard top secret sort of penalty.
It's understood, even if it's not said.
Right, but they did say it to you, I presume.
Yeah.
All right,
no
you're nuts. You're
Stanley,
nuts.
no fooling. What? You're playing with your life now.
Oh, fuck my life.
I had basically nothing to lose. I'm, an established filmmaker. I made my millions. I'm really basically set for life. I'm 70.
Fuck my life.
So Barry Levinson must have been influenced by this whole... He must have known, so that's... Wag the Dog is about this whole idea. I mean, that's why...
The character was named Stanley. And they killed him.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stanley Kubrick passed away in 1999.
Goodbye.
Turning to the Hollywood page,
famed film producer Stanley
Kubrick has died
suddenly of a massive heart attack
at the age of 70.
leaving many of his movie ideas unrealized.
Kubrick was widely regarded as one of the greatest and most controversial masters of cinema.
He also left us with a question.
Do you think people will believe you?
Where is the line between genius and madness?
I mean, I know you don't care.
I don't know.
Do you hope people believe you? Do you hope people question everything?
I hope they will, but if they don't...
In a career spanning almost 50 years,
they still have my movies.
I think a lot of things happened right here in this particular hotel, and not all of them was good.
I apologize, sir, for not telling you sooner that you're a degenerate, sadistic old man. And you can go to hell before I apologize to you now or ever again.
Today, war is too important to be left to politicians.
Have you ever thought for a single solitary moment about my responsibility?
Goodness comes from within. Goodness is chosen. When a man cannot choose, he ceases to be a man.
They still have my movies.
His credits include numerous films which America has come to love.
Which isn't bad.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Ain't it a bad thing?
Which America has come to love.
Stanley Kubrick just finished what was to be his last film. Eyes
Maybe a bad, bad thing.
wide shut.
Maybe a bad, bad thing. Maybe a bad, bad thing.
Which isn't bad.
Eyes wide shut.